The Bill O'Brien stopped by the show, current BC Eagles head coach, but former Patriots offensive coordinator. He talked about his time learning under Josh McDaniels, his time as a head coach of the Texans, bringing Mike Vrabel in as a DC, all that and more, including what Drake Maye looks like in the Patriots system. That's a full interview with Bill O'Brien on Foxborough Rush. New episodes dropping 3 days a week. New episodes out now with B.O.B., wherever you get your podcasts. Now, let's get to the chat. Oh, yeah. What's up? What's happening? It's Boston has entered the chat. George Balekji here with Travis Thomas, fresh off the Super Bowl win by the Philadelphia Eagles, 40-22.
Hey.
You guys know what we're going to be chatting about today. The legacy of Tom Brady, the legacy of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Our lovely takeaways from the Super Bowl. Kind of a snooze fest because it was that big of a blowout. Eagles over the Chiefs.
I loved every second of it. You know why?
Jalen Hurts MVP.
Jalen Hurts MVP ticket cash.
And two hosts on a certain podcast.
Did they?
On a certain network. That host a show. Boston has entered the chat.
Is that right?
Both picked the Eagles in the last show of last week.
You don't say,
Who would do that?
you?
Oh! Travis, Thomas and George Balekji. That's who.
Oh, you don't say. What do you know?
That Eagles future ticket, plus 190, right when the Final Four was set. I'm not going to act like I was bold. It was chalk.
Yeah, okay.
But I looked at this Eagles team, and I said it later in the regular season. I go, I'm going to ride with them.
Yeah.
Football gods, man. They looked down, and they said, you can't win without an offensive line.
Yeah. If only someone had told you that Saquon Barkley was going to have to earn every yard that he got in the game.
Hey,
and
I didn't listen to you on that front.
And that Jalen Hurts would be throwing and running the football.
Yep.
And he would be the MVP of the game. If only someone had told you that, too.
Man, when you walk away from that Super Bowl victory, what are you thinking? Like when you look back on this Super Bowl, Eagles get their second ring of franchise history. First for Jalen Hurts. Good for him.
Yep.
A.J. Brown got one.
Yep.
Saquon Barkley, man. For the longest time, he was one of the biggest what-ifs in the NFL.
Sure.
What if he stays healthy? What if he has a better quarterback?
Yeah.
What if? Well, he took a team to the Super Bowl. He got him there.
Yeah.
And then the guys around him closed, especially that defense. Nick Sirianni gets a ring. Mm-hmm. Polarizing but interesting. And Mahomes and the Chiefs were stopped from history and immortality.
You named all these offensive players, and I think when I look back years from now on the Super Bowl, I will think of this Eagles defense.
Yep.
That was just filthy McNasty. I mean, they were nasty.
Yep.
And that is one of the best defenses. If anything, I think history will be kind to the Eagles defense because this is one of the more dominant. We were talking about this watching the Super Bowl together. It's been a while since we've seen a Super Bowl blowout. We, the fans, have really been spoiled, particularly Patriots fans, right? All the Patriots dynasty, all those games were tight. Even the games you lost, they were tight games. So I think we, the consumer, have seen all these great Super Bowls for all these years. And the last blowout up into this one was actually Brady with the Buccaneers against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
31-9 the final.
And it looked a lot like this game did.
Yeah.
Where Mahomes, I mean, listen, he was doing triple axles back there like Nancy Kerrigan. There was nowhere for him to go. He's spinning, he's jumping, he's throwing off platform. There was nothing. He couldn't breathe.
He had no time.
No, he had no time all game long. This Eagles defensive front was the difference. And then you see the back end of the defense reaping the benefit with interceptions. Mahomes had pick sixes. Mahomes could not do anything against this Eagles defense. That's what I'll remember the most. That and Kendrick Lamar at halftime, which we'll get to. Because really the game stunk, right? It was boring. It was a blowout. It was dominance. If you're an Eagles fan, you were hype. If you were a Jalen Hurts MVP ticket holder like me, you were hype. But other than that, it was a snooze fest. But Kendrick killed it. And this Eagles defense, I will remember forever.
And people are going to look back and they go, well, Mahomes, 257 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Empty calories.
Exactly. It was 34-0 with under a minute left in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. On 2 passes to Xavier Worthy, it put Worthy over 100 yards, got Mahomes finally in the end zone on a passing touchdown. But it was 34-0.
Yep.
And that is off a Patrick Mahomes pick 6 that he threw, where Cooper DeJean just sitting back in the zone defense. He did not see him. He just blended in, tried to force it to Hopkins on a crosser, picked him off, and you saw the returning skill he had from his experience at Iowa. Mahomes was shook in this game. And that's what I kept saying, where how awful this offensive line was. Creed Humphrey's good at center. Trey Smith is good at right guard. Everything else around him is patchwork. And how damn good this Eagles defensive line is. Out of his 42 dropbacks tonight, Trav, I'm charting it, he was only blitzed twice. And he still was shook the whole game. Had no time, was quick.
Yeah.
And with Tom Brady on the broadcast, where he did mention, hey, last time we saw a blowout like this was when I was playing.
Right.
I was beating Mahomes. Like Tom Brady in 2007, when the defensive line disrupts the middle of the pocket, which they were doing, forcing them out, not letting the quarterback get comfortable, and they were doing it rushing 3 or 4.
You mean that's what the Giants did to
Yeah.
them? Yeah.
And that's what the Eagles did.
That's
When
right.
you're rushing 3 or 4, they were blowing up middle of the pocket for Mahomes too.
Yep.
And you're dropping 7, 8 guys back into coverage.
Yeah.
Mahomes wasn't seeing the field at all. It was just, you can't be a great defense, especially winning at the line of scrimmage.
You brought up that Giants defensive line that gave Brady and the Patriots hell in that Super Bowl.
It was a
And
NASCAR package.
You're
Michael
right about
Strahan,
that.
OCU Manure.
I'll tell you what I think about. I think about that Patriots team that came back on the Falcons. And I saw on Twitter a lot of people at halftime suggesting, hey,
it's only 24.
Don't sleep on
Yep.
Mahomes and the Chiefs. Listen, this was way different. So in that game, in that Falcons-Patriots game, I'm not ashamed to tell you, I bet on the Falcons that day.
Yep.
And at halftime, I was counting money that I didn't have yet, thinking the game was over, right? But I remember thinking this Falcons team is just way faster than this Patriots team. I did not feel that way at halftime of this game at all.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the Eagles were faster. I felt like the Eagles were just more dominant. It was a difference. Even in that Falcons game, although I did not see the comeback that happened with the Patriots that season, it was still Brady. I couldn't relax but so much, and it was just a speed discrepancy. You kind of felt like if the Patriots could find a way to slow the game down, they could at least make it competitive. This never felt competitive. George, I mean, it was 3 and out. Chiefs couldn't move the ball. They didn't even get past midfield until the fourth quarter, it felt like.
Yeah.
It was pure dominance, wire to wire, from the opening kick till the final piece of confetti fell. Remember the cutaway they showed of Taylor Swift just looking so concerned? The jacket was all...
Travis.
Yeah.
Kelsey.
Ice Spice abandoned her. I think Ice Spice was with Eagles fans, okay? She switched sides midway through
They
this
were in
game.
the suite together?
Yes.
What world do we live in?
You just weren't paying attention. Taylor Swift looked very concerned, and the only person who looked worse than her in the whole damn stadium was Travis Kelsey. He needs to go sit down somewhere. It's over.
Hey, you bring everything that you're peeling back from that.
Yeah.
I got a special something. Our producer, Greg Grady, put a quick cut up. I want you to listen to this. Check it out.
Last game was high scoring. This one I'll go low. Defense on display.
Two great defenses.
Two great defenses.
I'm going to go good coordinators.
I'm going to go 26-20 Eagles. In somewhat of a boring game, Jalen Hurts, my MVP, he's the difference. Touchdown on the ground, touchdown through the air to A.J. Brown, whoever.
Okay. And who have you beaten? Who have you looked like to get there? Because end of the day, I'm doing eye test.
Yeah.
I'm looking beyond 15 and 87. I'm looking beyond Andy Reid. I am looking beyond the refs.
Sure.
How the Eagles got here. They held the Commanders, one of the most efficient offenses, if not the most efficient offense in the NFL, 23 points.
That's right.
They beat Stafford and McVay.
Yep.
They dominated the Packers.
Yep.
Just their path to get to this point. I'm looking forward to this matchup. I'm looking forward to see how the Eagles play, though. They got to step up. It's not going to be easy, to your point. But this Eagles team is outfitted to beat the Chiefs. This Eagles team is outfitted to win a Super Bowl. Little mic drop for us.
There it is.
You literally called Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown.
And I called a boring game, which it kind of was.
Hey.
It was not a defensive snooze fest, low-scoring game, though.
It was a blowout. And this Chiefs defense played really well. Like Saquon Barkley was non-existent. They kept feeding him the ball, but he had 25 rushing attempts for 57 yards. Let me say that again. He was averaging less than 2.5 yards a carry.
Kept him out of the end zone.
This guy was so dominant all year. 6 catches for 40 yards, but one of those receptions coming on a 22-yard reception. The Chiefs offense did not have a possession go longer than 2.5 minutes until the third quarter. The defense was gassed for the Chiefs. They were doing well winning at the line of scrimmage. They were doing well in coverage. Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley had to fight for every yard. It had to be tough. It had to be methodical. Steve Spagnuolo did a great job. But the offense kept sputtering and sputtering and sputtering. They didn't have a single drive go longer than 5 plays until their second to last drive of the game.
Yeah,
that's how good this Eagles defense was.
You also said something when we were watching this game together that really stuck out to me, where you said, it almost finally caught up with the Chiefs their whole season. Every week they were in these tight games against good teams and bad teams. I mean, I think back, was it Black Friday? They played the Raiders. Remember that game?
And Antonio Pierce gave them the game twice at the end.
Right. They had some kind of like head-scratcher games this season against, teams that they should have really dominated, and they didn't. And credit to them, in the good teams, they played tight as well, win or lose. But this one, you're right. It finally caught up to them where it was like, no, the Eagles are just better than you.
Yeah.
And you can't.
The whole roster.
Yes, the whole roster, top to bottom. And you just can't, the refs can't save you here. You can't scheme your way out of this with Spags and Andy Reid. Look, I'm not saying it's easy, but the formula is out now to get to Patrick Mahomes, and it was the same with Brady.
Yep.
You said it. Any quarterback.
Pressure.
You have to get pressure up front. You can blitz. That can be some of it if you want to mix it up, but it's got to start with up front in the trenches. And if you can sort of manufacture and generate a pass rush against Patrick Mahomes there and make it uncomfortable for him in the pocket, he has to escape. He's running around looking for someone to get open. That's the formula to beat them.
So Mahomes, let's get to Mahomes Brady, because that was a big thing surrounding this too. Ironic with Tom Brady calling the game, but if the Chiefs got that three-peat, that enters that team, this quarterback, this head coach. That's dynasty talk and then some. First ever they would have been to three-peat. That would have entered them into the conversation. Where do they stack up with the Patriots? But with Mahomes versus Brady, Brady was never blown out in a Super Bowl. This is the second time it's happened to Mahomes. 31-9, lost to the Bucs.
That's right.
And then today, 40-22. Look at Brady's 3 losses. 2007, Patriots had a 14-10 lead in the fourth quarter. 2011, they had a 17-12 lead late in the game. 2017, they put up 32 points. It was just a massive scoring game. And they ended up losing 41-32 to the Eagles and Nick Foles in ridiculous plays. But they had the lead late. Brady put him in position to win. The defense blew it for him in 3 separate Super Bowls. For Mahomes, it's been the offense letting him down in his 2 losses. That's what makes it so interesting in this. Look, you have Mahomes with 2 MVPs. He obviously has 3 rings already, but he's now 3-2 in the big game. Tom Brady in his career, 7-3 in the Super Bowl. All 3 losses come in the Patriots. Perfect with the Buccaneers. It's just, what Mahomes is doing is unreal. He's not even 30 yet. But that mountaintop that Tom Brady sits on is so insurmountable. It has to make you press pause on this and go, the structure of the Chiefs, you get away with the shoddy wide receiver game for back-to-back rings, Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, whoever it may be, the nobodies they've had in that room. But the offensive line has to be put together. You can't joke around with that. And it just so shows how difficult it is. It really is to win it. Mahomes most talented. Brady's still the GOAT.
Yeah, listen, three-peat or not, I had already gone on record as saying that the Mahomes-Brady who's the GOAT stuff is too premature from a Patrick Mahomes standpoint, even if he had three-peated. At the end of the day, Brady beat you twice when it counted, okay, both with the Patriots and with the Bucs in the Super Bowl. That's going to be hard to overcome in terms of the GOAT talk. So I think all that is put to bed now when you don't three-peat. The only shot Mahomes has to be considered greater than Tom Brady is to have more rings than him. He must become the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And even then, if he were to accomplish that, which I don't think he will, you would still say, well, Brady beat him head-to-head still, right? So in the end, what this means to me, it's less about Mahomes and Brady, because I never thought that was a real debate. I think it shows how hard it is to three-peat. I mean, even in
Patriots couldn't do it in 03, 04, 05.
In recent memory, Kobe and Shaq three-peated. I know Jeter and some of those
the
great
Yankees
Yankee
into the
teams
90s,
did.
into 2000s.
It's just really tough to do in sports, no matter what sport it is. Especially football, because it's meant to be, it's set up for parity and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's very difficult to do. I do not believe Mahomes is greater or will be greater than Tom Brady unless he gets more rings, and I don't see that happening. I tell you, it really hurt. I thought if the Chiefs were able to three-peat, I thought Andy Reid would have a real case to be the GOAT coach if he doesn't already over
3 playoff
Belichick.
wins away from tying Belichick.
Right, but
Needs 3 more rings.
This one hurts his legacy a bit too. I think that Chiefs dynasty in totality, not just Patrick Mahomes. I think this iteration of the Chiefs dynasty really took an L here by not being able to three-peat and the way they lost. They didn't just lose, to a field goal, heartbreak city. You got dominated. It almost feels like, again, this current iteration of the Chiefs dynasty could be coming to a close here. Travis Kelce looks old and slow and washed. I'm sorry. Andy Reid's not getting any younger. Mahomes, again, going back to that formula now, copycat league, or teams like, listen, we need to load up defensive linemen here and get after this kid. So this could be the beginning of sort of that long in-between championships reign that we saw Brady go through as well.
Between 2004 and 2014.
It could happen, and we'll see how Mahomes responds to it.
Mahomes is going to get there. He's not 30
Going to
yet.
get where?
7 rings. I'm going to push back on that.
I don't know.
It shows how difficult it is to even get into that area code, let alone to that level. Mm-hmm. But Mahomes had his talent, and he's only 29.
Yeah.
That's what always stands out to me. He did this they had a left guard playing left tackle in Joe Tooney.
Yeah.
Jawan Taylor at right tackle was a complete liability all season long. This is, after that loss to the Buccaneers, Brett Veach, the GM of the Chiefs, went to Mahomes and said, I'm going to get you help. I'm never going to do this to you again. With the offensive line talk. Well, he did it to him, right?
Yeah.
That's where they go and they hit reset. Think about how good this defense is, how young it is. Trent McDuffie, Leo Chenal, key pieces on that. I don't think Spagnuolo's going anywhere. Andy Reid, 66. I feel like as long as he's got his Ferrari in the garage and Mahomes, he's going to stick with them next 5 or 6 years or so. As long as he's got it, it's going to be difficult, but I got to push back on that. He's only 29. He has 3 rings. He's been to 5 Super Bowls. It's just the same and Brady said it earlier in the week, Chiefs better win this one because all Mahomes is going to hear about.
Yeah.
All Kelce. You know what? All Kelce's going to hear about when he's getting into the Hall of Fame one day. Yeah, well, his last Super Bowl he played in, he had 2 really bad drops, and he was ineffective. He was literally a nobody. Hey, they got to win this because all you hear about is your losses. The losses will be louder, but when he's good, he looks like the best to ever play the position. Brady beat you before the snap. Brady beat you before you even got into the arena on Sunday. Saturday night, he's wrapping up film and study. He has you beat. He knows you better than you do. Mahomes after the snap. That's what makes him great. It's 2 different types of quarterbacks. He's still going. I believe he's going to get to that 7th ring. I would not put it away, which is, trust me, absurd to say. Absolutely insane for me to say someone else will get to 7 rings, but I think he will get there.
Well, we're going to see how it looks.
Yeah.
Because outside of Xavier Worthy, listen, all these guys are a little bit long in the tooth, even his receivers. DeAndre Hopkins looked old and slow to me. All these guys, the running back, Hunt, Pacheco, all of them. The offensive line. I just think like this is an older team, and you're right about Mahomes being the Ferrari in the garage. But what are the pieces around him if he's going to get all these rings? That's what I need to see. I don't think Andy Reid's going to be there. To your point, yes, he's going to coach as long as he can, but he's not going to be there the rest of Patrick Mahomes' career.
Yeah.
I don't – look, I hear you, and obviously he's great enough to get 7, but I think I would bet against it at this point. The other thing with Mahomes that I'm interested to see – Brady, man, it was like wheatgrass and beet shakes. Like, Mahomes likes Bud Lights and
gotta take care of that body.
Yeah,
too.
like he's got some dad bod action. Like, let's see how he does longevity wise. He took a lot of hits in this Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
I never saw Brady take this many hits, not in a Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens.
5 of the last 6 Super Bowls, Mahomes has been in it.
Yeah,
he's Thanos today, man.
No one in the AFC can beat him, George. Maybe his kryptonite is the Eagles. We'll see. Maybe he sees them again.
You know how baffling that is.
Right.
That the only team that could beat him is in the other conference.
Maybe.
And we got to see of this core what the Eagles can bring back.
Yeah.
This changes moving forward, just the timeline of the Eagles. The best thing to happen to Mahomes was facing the Bills in the AFC Championship game. I said this was going to be a reset year for the Bills. They have to shed a lot of cap. Defense got old. They got to do a rebuild thing. Soft reset, though. They still got Josh Allen. They'll win 10 games. Worst thing to happen to the Bills is getting to the AFC Championship game. They got Sean McDermott 2 more years. But getting Sean McDermott 2 more years in Buffalo, best thing for the Chiefs in Kansas City. Because they could beat them any day of the week. If you're enjoying the conversation, make sure to tune in Monday through Friday to Boston Has Entered the Chat. We talk about all the latest news in sports in Boston and around the country each and every day. You can find us on YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever else you get your podcast. That is Boston Has Entered the Chat. All right, let's get into it, man.
Yeah.
What was the most exciting part of the night?
Kendrick.
Halftime.
I mean,
Crushed
that game was terrible.
Bro.
He was the best.
He looked in the camera and said Drake's name.
And smiled.
What did I tell you on this?
With an evil smile.
I should have cut up that soundbite.
You should have.
He hates.
You did say that.
He hates.
You did say
Hold
that.
on. Let me say this. He hates that man.
He does.
And I love it. Bro.
That was
he teased,
brutal.
Not like us, play. No, I'm not going to do that.
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yep.
Bro, Serena Williams. See you walking.
Shout outs to Serena.
Looked amazing. Can still go win 10 Wimbledons.
Man.
Bro.
Yeah.
Kendrick absolutely
crushed it. And then you know what's crazy, man, is like all the discourse I saw after the game or after halftime on Twitter of like, I didn't get it. Like what? Oh, the crowd wasn't even hyped. Like, what was that? It's like, you got to try. Like, just try to enjoy a halftime show. For years, there were a lot of bands and groups that I didn't know about. Yeah. And I embraced it. And I learned about them. And I liked the music. And I tried to, vibe. People just if you didn't enjoy that halftime show, that's a you problem. It was so good. Kendrick did such a great job. It was artistic. It was everything you want in a halftime show.
Yeah.
All of his hits, special guests. It had everything. And, kudos to him, too. I actually even though Sam L was in there, SZA was in there, I thought he did a really good job of just solo act.
Yeah.
Me up here. He had dancers, but it was very lyrical.
Yes.
Breath control, crowd control. He was dancing. He was moving. I thought it was a fantastic halftime show.
There was no BS circumpompous of I'm going to fly on a hoop, fire everywhere.
Yes.
It was a rap performance.
It was a rap performance.
Dude.
Well said.
And the context of it all is even better. Drake's entire existence, all he's ever wanted to put himself in position is to do things like perform in a Super Bowl. Kendrick got halftime because he beat Drake so bad in the beef last summer.
Right.
That's why he got halftime.
Yeah.
And then he just danced on his grave.
Literally.
For 15, 20 minutes.
Literally.
In front of everyone. Getting embarrassed at the Super Bowl. Drake, the Chiefs.
Sorry, Drake.
Rocky and Apollo. That's that dap up you get. That's what was getting me the tweets that followed. We got a few more. Pull them up. The tweets that followed on all this. I want to perform their favorite song, but they love to sue.
That's what he said.
Kendrick Lamar.
Then he still did it.
He said right before he started, you picked the right time, but the wrong guy.
Oh, God.
He said you can't fake influence. This was when he was throwing in his own stuff.
Yeah.
Again, this guy is a writer, a poet, a lyricist. Drake was watching the whole time going, he's not going to do it. He can't play that. He had his lawyer on speed dial.
Keep this going, Brendan.
You
my
can't.
Favorite thing of this, watch my man's immediate regret.
Yeah. Why did I do that? We got one more here, too. One more tweet. A Hall of Fame performance by King Kendrick, the kid from Compton, put on at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Yeah, our esteemed producer, the walking, talking triple-double, Ante Campbell from Inglewood, let us know right before
they shut down the streets of L.A.?
Yeah, right before we started recording, he came in and he's like, hey, man, they're partying in L.A. too because of what Kendrick did. So obviously in New Orleans, they're partying because it's New Orleans. It's the Super Bowl. In L.A., they're partying because of what Kendrick did at the Super Bowl. And can you imagine what the streets of Philly are like right now? Because the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Hopefully, unlike the first time when they beat the Patriots, there's no one eating horse dung. Remember when that happened? Philly.
Let me tell you my two favorite tweets I've seen. Kendrick is a rapper, not a pop star. Y'all expecting a Bruno Mars performance from a gangbanger out of Compton, California. Damn straight. And he owns that. And then this one. Kendrick Lamar is proof that having an arch nemesis is a fundamental part of the human experience.
Yeah.
See what? Sometimes hate's a good thing. Sometimes having enemies is a good thing.
Yeah.
Look what it gave us. One of the best halftime performances I've ever seen.
Facts.
He looked him in the eyes, smiled, and said Drake. Say Drake. How you doing, Drake?
Oh,
Say Drake.
Man. No way Drake's watching that halftime.
He was.
No way.
Yes, this is how he was watching it. Lawyer.
With his lawyers.
He said my name.
Shaking.
He said my name. Oh, wait. We can't sue because
Look
of
at
that?
his hand.
Then he calls someone else. Hey, DeMar?
DeMar Hamlin.
No, DeMar DeRozan.
He might as well call DeMar Hamlin,
How
too.
do you come back from the dead? I'm so happy DeMar Hamlin's doing well. God bless
Hey,
him.
I threw you a oop for that. That's that D-Wade LeBron where I didn't even look.
You read my mind because I thought the same thing.
DeMar, how do I come back from the dead, man?
How
and
do I
DeMar
bounce
says, it's over, brother. I had a second chance. Not you. It's done.
The price to monitor.
Man.
Kendrick tickets just at Gillette. I was looking $200 before halftime.
Yeah.
We'll see what they are.
Oh, I'm sure it's
after.
insane. That's why I got mine on pre-order.
Bro.
I had mine already done.
Bro.
Yeah.
I
know.
I love it.
That was a highlight of the Super Bowl, I think.
I love it.
How about the national anthem with our boy? That was
Baptiste?
a 10-minute long anthem.
No, it hit the under.
It hit the under? How?
120 and a half seconds, it hit the under.
How?
Yep.
It felt like 15 minutes.
120. I think it cut it right to 120.
Oh
bro.
my God.
Hey, that new score bug. See, thank God we had halftime.
That was terrible.
Thank God we had halftime.
Yeah.
Because we would have went right off rip. Hey, respect to Fox. I thought the broadcast was great. I actually thought Brady was good in the booth.
Brady was very good.
Especially in a blowout really hard. Mm-hmm. That score bug is ugly.
It looked like
so ugly.
It looked like Microsoft Word, like just like Microsoft Paint, like the most basic.
You know when you forget to turn in an assignment in high school? So you got to like 2 minutes before class, you just fill everything out.
You just do it real
Or it's
quick.
like someone messed up and they're like, what's in the presets? What's the score bugs we have loaded?
What was it called when we used to study for tests like all night instead of using cram?
Yeah,
they crammed.
That's not cramming, bro. That's forgetting. Oh, that's right. We need a new score bug.
Panic.
Yeah, that was something.
Terrible.
Man. So,
I also did not love the commercials in this Super Bowl.
Commercials are mid.
They were kind of mid.
The good one was Seal, Baja Blast. Like
that
Seal
was funny.
Seal. That was it.
Dunkin' Donuts with Ben Affleck again.
Bro,
although I did miss
Belichick's
J-Lo.
girlfriend's in that. Why? Like, what are we doing?
Hey man, it's her 15 minutes, dog.
You're gonna get the money no matter what.
Yeah.
You just don't sign a prenup and you'll be fine. Like that's it. Hey, you want the latest on the Patriots? Speaking of Belichick and the NFL, we'll tell you what Mike Vrabel and the Pats should do with the 4th overall pick in the draft and what the Patriots should do with all that money on Foxborough Rush. Available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, let's get to it. You guys know it. What's trending? This is a fun one. Your favorite person.
All right.
Like I said, hate is great. Jets are moving on from Aaron Rodgers.
Oh.
And Devontae Adams, but mainly Aaron Rodgers. Apparently he flew to New Jersey, met with them about the future, and they're like, I'm good.
Good for them.
Hey, we did it for 2 years. We're done.
Yeah. I think this says a lot about Aaron Rodgers in that the Jets, the lowest of the low in the NFL, probably the worst self-esteem other than the Browns in the league. Yep. And they've had enough of you. Like they broke up with you. Mm-hmm. Think about that. A person with all the red flags in the world, toxic partner, broke up with you. I mean, that says it all. You are just the lowest of low. You are at the bottom, the bowels of the ship. You're a barnacle on the bottom of the ship, Aaron Rodgers. That's how down you are. And you should go away. This is your cue to just walk away with some dignity. Leave the game. For once in your life, put some respect on the game of football because you have been disrespectful to it in your career. You need to get out of here. Here's a scoop here from Jay Glazer.
The key one at the end, given that Aaron made the effort to fly back to discuss his future, all signs point to him continuing to play, just won't be for the Jets. Who the hell's going to want this guy?
The Raiders.
Someone's out.
It'll be the Raiders. You know why? They already have a bridge head coach in Pete Carroll.
Might as well get a bridge QB.
Might as well get a bridge QB. So you get two bridge guys to sell tickets. Pete Carroll will give his rah-rah speeches. Aaron Rodgers is just out there to sell tickets because it's Vegas, and that's what old people do. They go to Vegas and do a residency, and then they'll get a real coach and a real quarterback next season or 2 seasons from now.
Vegas, quick flight to Mexico.
Yeah.
I feel like you could find a place to do ayahuasca in Nevada. No problem.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably right off the strip.
Right off the strip.
On the strip,
yeah.
honestly.
There's a big neon sign flashing ayahuasca.
Dude, just imagine Rodgers in Vegas with the Raiders. Yeah. But here's the thing. This is going to be the worst experience ever because he's going to be in the Sphere every single night tripping out to John Mayer and Dead & Co. That's where he's going to be studying film.
Rodgers in the Sphere like, dude, the colors.
Althea, man.
Dude.
Play Terrapin. Whoa, man, this is beautiful.
This is awesome, man.
I can see the sounds.
I'm thirsty.
I can hear colors.
Does anyone have any Funyuns?
That's probably his.
Hey, I just want to thank Jalen Hurts
choice
for my Super Bowl MVP ticket. Here's to you, man. Thanks, Jalen Hurts.
Hey, more around the league. Deebo Samuel granted permission to find a trade partner. Granted a permission by the 49ers to find a trade partner.
Please, God,
what is the big sigh for?
Please, God, Patriots,
don't.
Don't do it.
All right, thank you.
Please, God, Patriots, no.
You scared me.
No, don't do it,
You
Pats.
scared me.
I don't want him or Cooper Kupp, but I feel like Kupp makes a little more sense if you can get him for pennies on the dollar. Deebo is just a pain in the rear end when he doesn't get the ball, and I think his best days are behind him, George.
I agree. I mean, he just didn't look right all season. Didn't look like he was in the same shape he normally is.
Yeah.
And this is a wide receiver that's going to be 29 the upcoming season. And just think about him over the years. That when that was reported, he, of course, followed up with a tweet himself of, prayer hands for the emoji of like, cool, sounds good, I'm looking for a trade partner. But this was a guy that was getting around, I would say 120, 130 touches, but those being carries. Like his usage was phenomenal. There's only one Deebo Samuel in the NFL, but that added up really fast. And he was never right this season, never 100% healthy. Yeah, he's going to be 29. Oh, man, he's right before, he falls off. It's receivers at the age of 30. It's pro sports. He was one of my favorite receivers to watch play. This is an old 29-year-old receiver.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it does. I'm trying to think of landing spots because it's not New England. I think he needs to go somewhere that already has an established wide receiver but needs help. I mean, the Commanders come to mind. Terry McLaurin's there. You have a young, outstanding quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Mm-hmm. They have a power run game, not really a dynamic run game.
Yeah.
So I think a Deebo going there, Cliff Kingsbury calling plays, that's creativity. You could give Deebo some run plays in that offense, to George's point, but also what I really think he is, and he doesn't want to admit it, but he is a complimentary wide receiver. Yeah. So I think him and Terry McLaurin would work together. My only concern would be his health that you brought up, durability at this stage. But I think the Commanders makes a lot of sense. Just off the top of my head, I think that's a good fit.
That's where I like Commanders' pick. When you say established receiving room, shoot, man, the Eagles don't have a number 3. But then what are you giving up for Deebo?
Right.
And you have A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel in the same. That's a lot of personalities.
Yeah, I don't think it
you
works
don't got to
there.
mess with this nucleus.
I don't think it works there.
But you got to go with some of the best receiving groups. The Rams are going to lose Cooper Kupp. Do they bring in a Deebo Samuel?
Maybe.
2 very different types of receivers.
He could get revenge on the Niners that way, too. He wants that.
And Deebo in that system would do really well. So we'll see. Hey, last one for trending. Cowboys had internal discussions about possibly trading Micah Parsons. Can you imagine what that discussion was? And then here's CeeDee Lamb. Y'all aren't tired of this every offseason, top of the charts. Let's just win ball games, and that's with 11, a.k.a. Micah Parsons for CeeDee Lamb. But what CeeDee doesn't understand, he's like, you guys don't get tired of this? Jerry's in his office and going, all right, so
here we go.
We got Dak. He's going to be $89 million a cap hit. We got CD 30. How are they such big cap hits? Who decided to make? Oh, that was me. All right. Well, what are they going to be? Oh, they're going to combine for almost $100 million. And what does Micah want to get as the best defensive player in the game? Not named Miles. Oh, he's going to be $40 million. So 3 players, $140 million. Carry the zero.
Grandpa Jerry's off his meds again.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to wait till the last minute, and then I'm going to give him a 100% guaranteed contract for 5 years.
The Deshaun Watson.
$250 million. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, we shouldn't do that. We should trade him. You're fired. How about that? You're fired. You're fired.
Say fired again.
You're fired. I got my tree yachts I got to afford. We got to get rid of my tree yachts. I got 3 of them. I call them past, present, and what I wish was the future. That's the 3 names of them.
Listen, if I was
Why is Jerry
Stephen
Light
Jones,
spoken on?
if I was Stephen Jones, I would say, Dad,
you got to shut
I got it from here. You know what I would do? Trade Micah Parsons.
I would trade Jerry Jones too.
Yeah, throw him in there and a bag of balls.
I would trade him. Dak, but you're screwed.
No one's taking that contract. I would trade Micah Parsons and start the hell over is what I would do because
3 firsts.
Yeah,
2. You'll get 2.
You'd get a haul.
He's not a quarterback. You'd get 2.
You get a haul.
You could get 2 firsts, 2 seconds.
As long as you don't have someone running the Mavericks, running the Cowboys, you should get a pretty good haul here.
We want to keep it a secret. We don't want anyone to know.
What would be a Luka trade for Micah? It'd be like Micah Parsons for Max Crosby straight up, and it'd be the same problems.
Who's more injury prone? I'm trying to think of a more injury prone defender.
Hassan Reddick.
It would be Micah Parsons for Bosa, the one with the Chargers, and then throw in a 4th round pick. That's what it would be. Yeah.
That's a Mavericks trade for Micah. If you could get a real haul for Micah, I would trade him.
Can you imagine the Cowboys, same offseason summer, let's say, they lose Luka and Micah?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that'd be tough.
Generational talents.
That'd be tough. But, listen, the way the Cowboys are and their run these days, even if you got a really good haul for Micah Parsons, I would not trust them to make the right decisions with those draft picks, with those draft assets. I still think they would blow it and get it wrong. I just think they're a mess. I mean, they have Schottenheimer as their head coach, remember?
Yeah.
Like, they just settled for him.
Yep.
Like, no one even wanted that job. Downhill for the Cowboys. They should trade Micah Parsons. Start the rebuild.
Hey, with the Celtics off to a shaky start in the new year, but things are turning around after the big win over the Knicks. You can have all your questions about the NBA and the Celtics answered on Hold My Banner as they pursue Banner 19 and back-to-back rings themselves. Hosted by Travis Thompson and Ante Campbell. Catch that wherever you get your podcast. You can also watch on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook as well. That is Hold My Banner. All right, now we toss it to Trav. Hey. Catching up with his childhood hero, Drew Bledsoe, former Patriots great, talking a ton here, including Tom Brady as well.
Drew, if I had told you 5 years ago Tom Brady would be calling, not playing in, calling the Super Bowl, Drew, what would you have said, and what do you make of Tom as a broadcaster? I think he's pretty good.
Well, first of all, I think that was a more realistic outcome 5 years ago than Belichick coaching at North Carolina. It was that's sort of more of a natural transition. I think Tom's doing a good job. I think he's continuing to grow into the role. I actually talked to him when he called a game in Seattle and talked to him about how it was going. And one of the hard things in that role, as a quarterback, is you have just this mountain of knowledge in your brain, so much football knowledge. How do you bring that down and speak concisely in 5-second sound bites in a way that the fans can understand? If you ask Tom to sit down and diagram a play, well, he could talk to you for probably at 45 minutes to an hour about an individual play. But you have to be able to take all of that knowledge and speak in small sound bites in a way that is digestible to the common fan. And that was the biggest thing that he said was a challenge for him was trying to drop in things that were interesting in really small bites for the audience. And so I think he's definitely getting better at that, and it's something that I think he'll continue to improve at for as long as he does this. But it's a performance, it's not really necessarily about how much you know. It's about this duet with your partner and how you're working that. It's almost like you're So you're almost like a musical performer in real time. So it's he admitted that it's been a challenge for him, but I think he's getting a lot better at it, and I think he'll do a nice job with this game.
Going back to his roast, I actually thought you were the best roaster that night. I walked away from that. All of us loved it, but I thought, man, Drew killed it. In fact, Drew, why don't you just sit back, relax, take a couple more sips, and let's go down memory lane as we reminisce from that night. Take a listen.
A lot of people assume that I have animosity toward Tom Brady, but I'm here to tell you tonight in front of millions of people that you're correct. I hate him. Buddy, you have more rings than I do, but I've experienced a couple things that you will never experience. The feeling of being the number 1 overall draft pick in the NFL. And a 28th wedding anniversary. It was yesterday.
Drew, what's your best memory from that night?
Oh man, first of all, the whole thing was amazing. It was really, really fun, and I loved it. Probably the one I'll take was we went to the after party, and then we went to the after party at the Comedy Store in LA. And about 2:30 in the morning, a guy taps me on the shoulders. Hey, come upstairs. Chappelle's going on. And so I went upstairs, and Chappelle was just up there on stage chatting with the audience with about 40 people. And, to me, he's the GOAT currently in comedy. And to watch him just sit up there and shoot the bull with the audience it was kind of like watching like a great musician just kind of like playing with their instrument, like he was not doing a bit. He wasn't doing a show. He was up there just chatting with the audience. And for me, that was a really, really cool moment afterwards, man. And what a rock star he is, and what a kind human, man. He's back there. He just chatting with people. He's one of the most famous people in the world currently, and man, he was just incredibly kind to everybody. I love the guy to death. So being able to watch him in a small environment like that was probably the memory I'll take with me for the most.
Gosh, Drew, I could talk to you all night about this stuff. I won't hold you too much longer. I have a couple Patriots questions for you, because when Mike Vrabel got hired as a coach, I wondered what a lot of the former Patriots thought about the move, and we've heard from some of them, but I want to hear from you. Mike Vrabel obviously played in the system, a Patriot, the Patriot way, and he's back here now as a head coach. What were your sort of initial thoughts with Vrabes getting the job, and how do you think he'll do, Drew?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say this. I was really bummed to see Drake Maye get fired, because I know Drake. He's a fantastic human that was handed like I don't know. He was handed a terrible situation. So I was first of all, I was sad to see Drake get fired. But I will tell you, the minute that he got fired, especially so quickly after the game, I knew without knowing that they were going to hire Vrabel. Because Bob Kraft is not somebody that makes snap decisions without having a plan. And Vrabel was available. I knew that was going to be the choice. And I think it's a great choice. I love Mike. I only played with him for 1 year, but it felt like I played with him for like 5 or 6 years. I love everything about him. He's going to put all the right people in the right places. And then, hopefully they start to give him some more tools to work with. I think that was the hardest part for Gerard and for my buddy Alex Van Pelt. They're especially up front, their offensive line was just kind of in disarray, especially with David Andrews being out the whole year. So I'm excited about the future. It may not be this year that they're back on top, but I would predict that within the next 2, 3, 4 years they're going to be contenders again, and they're going to be back in the hunt.
Hey, Drew, how about this? You want to talk about familiar faces? Look up Josh McDaniels is back as the offensive coordinator. What'd you think of that?
You know what? I love Josh, and coincidentally, it's funny. On the wine side, our winemaker's name is also Josh McDaniels,
Wow.
which is pretty funny. A lot of people have had some confusion. Like, wait a second, Josh McDaniels is your partner in the winery? Like, nope, that's different Josh. Different Josh. But Josh is one of those guys. I think he's a brilliant coordinator. It hasn't worked for him as a head coach. unfortunately for him, but fortunately for the Patriots. And I think he's going to be outstanding in that role. Obviously very familiar in it with the game, and I think he's got a great quarterback to work with. I really like Drake Maye's game in really tough circumstances this last year. I thought he played very, very well. So I think they've got the right pieces in the right places from that standpoint, the coordinator and the quarterback, and I love the head coach. So like I say, I think there's the really strong possibility that they're contending very soon. If not in 25, 26, 27, I could see them being contenders.
Yeah, I actually like the Drake and Josh combo. I mean, we all watched Drake last year and liked what we saw. You mentioned the offensive line clearly. I mean, they have to do something to improve that and obviously get Drake some weapons and Josh to work with. You like Drake Maye. What do you see in him? How do you think Josh could sort of maximize him and bring the best out of him? What do you see that you like, and what are some things, obviously he needs to improve on as he gets more experience in this league?
Yeah, I think he's got tremendous physical tools to start with. You don't get there without that. But I was really impressed watching his composure this year in a really tough year. Quarterbacks, if you're going to be successful, you've got to have great emotional stability to go with your intelligence and your physical ability, and to be able to go through a really, really difficult year and continue playing at a high level like he was. That showed me a lot, because it's not always going to be just rainbows and unicorns. It never goes that way for anybody. And so to watch him deal with a lot of adversity in his first year and deal with it well. And deal with it in a way that seems like the locker room really likes him. That gives me a lot of hope for him for the future. I think, I talked to Alex Van Pelt, coming into the season, and he described Drake as sort of like unmolded clay at that point. There's a lot for him to learn. And so, his progression going forward, I have very, very high hopes for, and he's going to have a great coordinator to work with from that standpoint, which will be cool to watch.
Do you see any of you in Drake Maye? Is there any similarities in the games there, or were you two completely different in your mind?
Well, he's not as fast as I was. He throws it very, very well, and I would love to say that that's a good comparison. But he also has, as we were talking about with Mahomes earlier, he has that other dimension where when he pulls the ball down to run with it, he's a real threat running the football. So that part would be definitely a differentiator for me. I was going to work from the pocket and try to be good doing that. But he throws it great. He's got a live arm. And seems to throw it pretty damn accurately. But when you add that extra dimension where he can pull it down and make some explosive plays for you with his legs, that's certainly a dimension that was not a big part of my game going back in the day.
Drew, I'm a wine lover, and I am so jealous right now because I just want to be taking some sips with you, my man. But I have tried Doubleback wine, and I love it. Please. I mean, you're with family here. You're with wine family. Talk to me about Doubleback wines. Tell me about this 2002 cab you got rocking. Tell me I could come out there and hang out with you. Let's just talk wine, please.
Yeah, come hang with us. It's my hometown. The wine's called Doubleback because I grew up there. I grew up right in Walla Walla, and then after my career, doubled back and went back home to start a wine business. From the very start, we intended to try to make wines that were, world-class wines. And I've been able to put a great team around me. I've got an amazing winemaker, Josh McDaniels, and a great team all the way from the vineyard through the entire process. We have 5 different vineyards, great diversity in our different vineyard sites, so we can make balanced, elegant, interesting, complex wines year in and year out. And it's a continuous progression. We've been top 100 wines in the world a few times, but we still feel like our best wines are in front of us. And this 22 vintage that we just released, I think, is the pinnacle of what we've been able to create to this point. For people that are unfamiliar with wines in Washington State, we like to say we combine the best of the new world with the best of the old world. We've got old world tannin, structure, and acid, but we've got new world fruit. So they're wines that that are enjoyable right now, but will also reward years in the cellar. It's been really fun, and one of the things I told our winemaking team recently that makes me the most happy is we're now 18 years into this business, and if I go down in my cellar, and we've got lots of different fancy wines down in the cellar, if I'm going to go pull out a bottle of wine that just purely makes me happy, it's one of our own wines. I still really like our own stuff, I think the old saying, I think it's in the drug dealing world, but we apply it to wine, is you're not supposed to get high on your own supply. Man, I like drinking our own wine. I really like drinking our own wine, man. The wine just makes me happy, It really does. And that's what I'm sipping on right now as we're talking. I'm sipping on a glass of Doubleback Cabernet, and it just puts a smile on my face. So it's been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to hosting you when you come out, man. We'll take great care of you.
I know. I need it, man. Cab, Pinot, White, it doesn't matter. I drink it all, Drew. I love it all. And like I said, Doubleback's fantastic, and I'm definitely going to take you up on that, my man. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you coming in to Boston, has entered the chat, and just vibing with us, man. It's been a great interview, and I told you off camera, I'll tell you on camera, huge fan. This is a career highlight for me, Drew, so I appreciate you being so gracious with your time, brother.
Truly love it. Love being, and I love always one of the things that the wine deal has done for us is we can make up excuses to come back home to Boston, on a pretty frequent basis. They're work trips, right? But I get to come out and see friends and Boston and New England, it really was our second home. I grew up out there, got there when I was 21, left when I was 30. So it always feels like a homecoming when we get to come back. And so, now we just need you and some of your Boston friends come out and see us in Walla Walla. We'll do a home and away.
Absolutely. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Right on, man. Appreciate you.
Man, that was a great combo with him, man.
Man, childhood idol.
Yeah.
You're right about that. By the way, just before we leave, thank you, Jalen Hurts, for Super Bowl MVP. Cha-ching! Bling, bling!
That's what we're talking about, baby. Travis Thomas, George Balekji. This is Boston Has Entered the Chat. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everyone.